Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. I do want to acknowledge Representative Bruce Ayers, who's joined us here today, and the newly elected Ward 4 City Councilor, Jim Devine, also here with us today. I know we have a number of department heads and folks that actually been involved in what we're talking about today. And it takes truly a great collaboration to accomplish what we're accomplishing in downtown Quincy. And when you look back at the initial pieces to it, it was really through a federal grant and Governor Baker's grant that created the Hancock Adams Common. Of course, the construction of the park was paid for by visitors to the city through the hotel tax, which was awesome. But the original congressional earmark that was for the Hannon and the extension at that time, it was Crosstown Connector, I think it was referred to. It's now called Hannon Parkway, was moved because we're able to take advantage of the ARPA program under President Obama for shovel-ready projects. So we were able, through the work of our delegation, to move that earmark for this area to help us with the Hancock Adams Common. So the downtown has made great progress, but has been truly a team effort in every way. Congressman Lynch has stood with us on a number of issues on a regular basis. He's truly a friend of the district, particularly of the city of Quincy. I have the great fortune of working with him as a colleague in government, and we talk frequently about all kinds of issues. We're mostly in agreement on most things, Congressman, but he's a Democrat, I'm an independent, so there's sometimes we may disagree, but the point is we're getting things done for the people, and that's what people expect of us, to get the job done. We can have differences, but get the job done. And I think the proof is in the pudding, what we're seeing in the downtown. And as many of you know, the next piece is, it's actually out to bid right now. Joe Shea has been overseeing that process of the new connection, if you will, at Hannon and McConville Way, which is gonna help alleviate the backups coming off of Bergen. They're trying to take their right onto the parking way. It's kind of in the master plan, but that is coming, that's out for bid. And of course, the concepts you see are concepts, just keep that in mind. These things evolve and change every day, particularly with the changes in the economy and interest rates. There's all kinds of differences. It continues to evolve until the day you put the shovel in the ground. In reality, in the coming months, you're gonna see demolition of a large portion of the westerly side of Hancock Street, with the Slater development coming and the Akari development coming, as well as the buildings the city has bought to create another pocket park within the downtown. And that's important to point out because what we're talking about today, and I'll leave that to the congressman, is the requirements and the necessary parking needed for some of these other developments that can't be necessarily on site will be assisted by what we're talking about a little bit today with the grant the congressman's announcing. So I'll let him take the mic. I just see Representative Taki Chin come in. Thank you, Representative, for joining us. And thank you, and Bruce, for your support of the budget that creates the Mass Works program that the governor's been so good to us. So again, it's a team effort. So with that, I'll let my good friend Congressman Lynch fill us in on this good news.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I don't really remember us ever disagreeing on anything. Maybe I'm missing something, but.
One or two social issues, but we'll leave that alone.
Okay, all right. That's fair enough, fair enough. But, you know, I pride myself on being a moderate Democrat, and I try to think of myself as a common sense Democrat. Maybe that's why we get along so well. But it's wonderful to be here with you once again, Mayor, and also Representative Ayers and also Representative Chan. This is really a partnership, and it's an ongoing partnership. It's not the first time we've been here to announce, federal money for Quincy, but I think it is important to allow people to understand how this works now. So in the past, federal money has been just passed through in a way that was really arbitrary with respect to the interests of city government and in some cases state government. The general appropriation process would follow a course where money came from the federal government, went to the states, but with strings attached from various federal agencies. If it came through Department of Transportation, it would be them. EPA, they may have input on how that money is spent. So 2 years ago, we changed the model. Actually, 4 years ago, we changed the model. And in the ARPA money, in the CARES Act, and in the Jobs and Infrastructure Act, we tried a different model where Congress, individual members such as myself, are allowed to earmark certain projects that are seen as priority projects. And the way we work it out in the 8th Congressional District is that I sit with Mayor Koch, I sit with our reps and senators, sit with the city councilors, get feedback on what the priorities are for that area, for that city or for that town, and then try to tie the money in a way that meets not only our obligations to spend money wisely, but also in a timing aspect and a focus aspect, really tries to accede to the wishes of the city and town. Because the people that are here every single day are the ones who really know what is needed most. And so that's really how this is supposed to work. So the earmarks we're talking about today, and the mayor's done a fantastic job in terms of bringing the city forward. And it's not easy. It's not easy. People hate change, even good change. People hate. You know, we are conservative by nature, I think, and change is upsetting. But I mean, you can just take a walk around the city of Quincy today, and it's just amazing. You know, the transformation. You know, the plaza, the Hancock Adams Plaza. I mean, just fantastic. General's Bridge. You know, just the whole reconfiguration of the street pattern in and around here. I mean, I remember coming with my mother to Quincy Bargain Center, you know, and it was just, you know, it was rather confusing roadway wise, you know, and, you know, there's been great improvements here, and I think the mayor and our delegation, and of course, Speaker Mariano, who's had an enormous impact from a state perspective in terms of elevating the profile of the city of Quincy, and we're grateful for his work. But you know, all of this requires a partnership, and no one entity, federal, state, or city can do this alone. So the creation of the way this works is we try to fit the money into the 1.5 million. We try to fit it into enough projects to meet the guidelines that the federal government put out, but also in a way that actually coincided with the timing of some of this. And I understand that the RFPs on this are going out March 9th.
The bid will be open.
The bid will be open, I'm sorry, on March 9th. So we're really in harmony in terms of our timing here. The idea is to create, you know, an additional 1,500 parking spaces, although, again, what the mayor said is this is very fluid, and these are just conceptual drawings, and a lot of work still has to go into it. But in addition to the 1,500 car parking garage maximum, there's also the need to do roadway and utility improvements in the extension of the General McConville roadway. So the idea here was to improve residential and commuter transportation by eliminating the bottleneck at the existing Hannon Parkway intersection and prevent backups into part of Bergen Parkway. And this was all made possible by a strong partnership by our state, federal, and city partners. And I do want to acknowledge our state delegation, because much of this federal funding requires a state match. And so, you know, we're very lucky to have a very highly influential delegation, not only Representative Chan and Representative Ayers, but also with John Keenan in the state Senate, working together with other colleagues just to make all that. Of course, Speaker Mariano making sure that matches in place. Otherwise, we would not qualify. So I want to applaud the hard work and support of Mayor Koch and his entire team. He's got amazing staff, and they make it look easy. But we really leaned on them heavily in terms of making sure that these projects, both McConville Way and the parking garage, fit into the federal guidelines so that the money will come through smoothly and in a timely fashion, and that we reduce the negative impacts that might happen during construction. So we're really, really proud of the job that the city has done on this to make our job easier. So I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor. Every day is an honor for me to represent the city of Quincy in the United States Congress. We have a lot going on here. The mayor has taken the lead on the Adams educational facility, and we continue to push for more projects that will really amplify the historic importance of Quincy and make it more successful in terms of attracting tourism and recognition for the city's amazing history. So with that, I think we could open it up for questions. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions on this? Mary?
Can you explain a little bit just where these projects are in the process? Is the land bought this garage? Is this for design? Just a little bit more specifics.
One more time, Mary.
Can you explain kind of where we are with this project? Has the land been bought? Is this money for design
Okay,
work?
okay. There's a congressman articulated, there's two projects within this grant. So the intersection improvements to McConville and Hannon Parkway, half of the money will go towards that. As he mentioned, the bids will be opened very soon. The other piece is the garage. It's been designated publicly that the city is pursuing the IHOP site. I know we've talked a lot about the delegation, but the important partner for me with the District Improvement Financing District in the Quincy Senate has been with the Quincy City Council. And they've supported the money toward the acquisition of the IHOP site. We don't have it yet. The other pieces next to it, we've already purchased on the abutting it that's on the south side of the bridge. So that is in process. We haven't come to terms with the current owner, but you can be assured it's going to happen. So this money will help us with the phase of designing, whether it's one larger garage or a medium garage and another garage. There's been many iterations of the downtown over the years, and this piece of the downtown we are encouraging and certainly hoping for some major commercial stuff, whereas the residential should be hug more of the Hancock Street side of the square. So.
And then could you say just one more time, Congressman, where exactly this money came from? Was this part of ARPA or was it part of the infrastructure and jobs?
This is the job. This particular chunk is from the Jobs and Infrastructure Act. So, with ARPA was a different process, but yeah, Jobs and Infrastructure Act, and we broke out part of this for projects that were, you had to fit in a certain category. Economic development and transportation were the two driving factors, I think, that made this successful in terms of demonstrating to the House and Senate and to the White House that the money should be spent in this area. Okay.
Is there a price tag for the intersection work total?
We'll be opening the bid on March 9th, Scott. We'll know exactly what the number is. I don't want to, we used to put numbers on things, but the last 2 years, with the economy the way it is, everything comes in so different. So
Yeah.
I'm going to hesitate on that one. You can wait a couple of weeks, Scott. Any other questions? I do want to add that, this is a very important grant, but it's a small one compared to what the Congress has already delivered to the city. And I want to reemphasize that. A lot of the projects and things we're doing under the ARPA couldn't be done without the Congressman's work getting that to the city. Whether it was the COVID money that we used very successfully for public health, it wasn't that long ago. We had to make major decisions every day for the public health, and the Congressman stood with us, providing the numbers, the funding we need to do that. Whether it was the economic development stuff to help businesses get moving again and get them through, it was that federal ARPA money or COVID money that we used. In some of the projects we're discussing that's been in the paper of late, even the Mount Wollaston beautiful veterans section and gate is going to be funded through some of the ARPA money. So some of these great things that are happening throughout the city wouldn't happen if not for the guy next to me. So again, Congressman, thank you for all your work.
No, thank
On
you.
behalf of the city. I do want to emphasize, Jimmy Scrivby, this doesn't count for you. He's my grants guy with the federal monies.
Okay, very good. He does a good job. He does a good job. You know, we're grateful for him as well.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Any final comments, Congressman?
No, just that, you know, we continue to try to come together. You know, Congress has, the Republicans are now in charge. And early on, it was difficult to persuade some of my Republican colleagues about the rightness of allocating money directly from Congress, the earmark process. But I'm happy to say that even now with the Republicans in charge, they've seen the impact that these grants have made in their own little town. You know, you have very rural areas that might have needed, you know, water infrastructure or roadway infrastructure. And I think we have persuaded our Republican colleagues to keep this process going so that we can allow cities and towns to make the decisions on federal funding directly. And I, you know, when you think about it, the people that are dealing with the problem on a daily basis and understand the importance and how things fit together, that's really a key. And you know, I had the same experience in Norwood where they had a bridge that was out, the Moore Street Bridge, and you had to go, you know, 3 blocks around every time you went through town. And so they finally, with the control that they had, directed federal money to fix that bridge. It's that type of situation where, because of the size of the project, it may not look that important from Washington. But, you know, the way things work logistically, that one small piece might be, you know, the catalyst for other developments and might greatly improve the quality of life for the people of that town or that city. So we're trying to bring Washington to Quincy in a way. You know, we're trying to make sure that distance is not that far, that your voices are heard, the voices of your representatives, whether state legislature or Mayor Koch, that, you know, that we respond to the actual needs of the community. That's the idea behind it, and I think it's starting to work. We're not known for our speed. We are not in Washington. It takes a while, but you know, I think things like this will definitely continue. Thank you.
And as we know about the federal process, the appropriations emanate from the House, but then, of course, we got to get the support of the Senate. So I'd certainly want to acknowledge Senator Markey and Senator Warren for their assisting Congressman Lynch in his efforts in these districts, projects. So with that, I guess one word to the folks of Quincy, the taxpayers of Quincy, because I ran into people in the street, and I remember when we were doing the Hancock Adams Common, a guy gave me some trouble when we first opened, my tax money, and I explained to him how it was done. He had quite a different attitude when we finished that conversation. The reality is what we have committed as administration, have we said from day one, is the downtown would pay for itself through the DIF model, through our partners at the federal level and through our partners at the state level. At the end of the day, there's still taxpayer money. And I know some people remind me of that, but wouldn't you rather have it come to Quincy than Worcester? And I don't mean to pick on Worcester. So I thank our partners, I thank the team. So many in this room have been a part of the success. And all that public investment has led now to hundreds of millions of dollars in the private investment. And that's how it works. So with that, thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.